Have you ever wondered if dreams can predict the future? Linda finds herself haunted by vivid visions of Quang returning, each night more real than the last. Torn between longing and hope, she relives the joyful days they spent together on their farm, laughing, caring for animals, and cherishing simple moments of happiness. But will these dreams remain just memories, or could they become reality? Join us as we follow Linda's emotional journey of love, loss, and unwavering hope. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and stay with us to uncover the full story. Lately, Linda found herself trapped in a recurring dream that seemed to blur the line between reality and imagination. Each night, as she closed her eyes, she would be transported back to a world where Quang had returned, where his presence filled every corner of her heart with warmth and comfort. In these dreams, the air was always infused with the subtle scent of the farm, the earthy aroma of freshly turned soil, the faint sweetness of ripening fruit, and the soft rustle of leaves in the wind. Quang was always there, moving with a gentle confidence, his laughter echoing across the fields in a way that seemed to make the world itself smile. Linda could feel the brush of his fingers against hers, the reassuring grip of his hand as if to tell her silently that everything would be all right. The sunlight fell perfectly over the landscape, casting golden hues over rows of vegetables and grazing animals, and for a moment, Linda could almost forget the emptiness that had filled her life since he had gone. She awoke each morning with a lingering warmth that both comforted and tormented her. Her heart would race, caught between the joy of having felt Quang near and the sharp ache of realizing he was still absent. The vividness of the dreams left her questioning whether they were mere reflections of her longing or some mysterious premonition, a whisper from fate hinting at what was yet to come. Every tiny detail seemed impossibly real, the way his eyes would catch the sunlight, the gentle curve of his smile, the soft murmur of his voice calling her name across the fields. It was as if the universe was playing with her heart, weaving threads of memory and hope into a tapestry so intricate that she could hardly tell where reality ended and dream began. Linda's days became consumed with a quiet obsession, her thoughts drifting back to the scenes she had experienced in sleep. She would replay each encounter in her mind, trying to memorize every expression, every gesture, every fleeting moment of happiness. Sometimes, she caught herself staring at the horizon, imagining his figure walking toward her, feeling the same rush of excitement and relief that had always accompanied his presence. Was it possible that these dreams were a sign, a signal from the universe that Quang's return was imminent? Or were they only the echo of her longing, the desperate whispers of a heart unwilling to accept absence? She didn't have an answer, but the dreams persisted, night after night, unrelenting in their vividness and intensity. Despite the uncertainty, there was a strange comfort in these nightly visions. For the brief hours when she was asleep, Linda was transported back to the life she had shared with Quang, a life filled with laughter, simplicity, and the kind of happiness that seemed almost too perfect to last. The farm, with its gentle rhythms and familiar routines, became a sanctuary in her mind, a place where love had always been tangible and present. In these dreams, she was not alone. Quang was by her side, and for that fleeting moment, nothing else mattered. Linda held on to that feeling with a fragile, almost desperate hope, wondering whether the line between dream and reality might one day dissolve, bringing him back into her life for real. Every morning, as sunlight streamed through her window and reality pressed in, she would clutch that hope tightly, letting it guide her through the emptiness of the day. And so, the dreams continued, persistent and insistent, like a gentle tug on the strings of her heart. Each night, they painted a world where Quang had returned, a world where their laughter once again mingled with the wind and the earth, where love was tangible, and where hope refused to fade. Linda could not tell whether these dreams were merely the workings of a heart desperate for reunion, or whether they were glimpses of a future waiting to unfold. All she knew was that each dream left her breathless, yearning, and strangely comforted, a delicate mixture of sorrow and joy that she could neither fully explain nor resist. As the days passed and the lingering warmth of her dreams faded with the morning light, Linda found herself drowning in memories of the life she had once shared with Quang. The ache in her heart was constant, a soft but persistent throb that reminded her of what had been lost. She could still see him clearly, his laughter ringing across the fields as they worked side by side in the farm's gentle chaos. The animals seemed to respond to his presence too, their calm and contented movements reflecting the care and attention he always gave. Linda remembered how he would kneel in the soil, hands covered in dirt, planting seeds with patient precision, and how she would watch him, a smile tugging at her lips, feeling a warmth that went far beyond the physical labor. Those simple, shared moments had been the foundation of their happiness, a quiet, enduring joy that seemed almost eternal in its simplicity. She recalled the evenings when the sun would dip low, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and gold, and they would sit together under the sprawling branches of the old oak tree near the orchard. They would sip tea, sharing stories, dreams, and small confessions, each word weaving their hearts closer together. Sometimes, Quang would tease her lightly, making her laugh until her cheeks hurt, and she would rest her head on his shoulder, feeling utterly safe and at peace. The memory of those moments made her eyes sting with tears, for it was a happiness so pure that it seemed almost impossible to hold on to once he was gone. Even the mundane tasks, feeding the animals, repairing fences, tending the vegetables, had been infused with joy simply because they did them together, side by side, their silent companionship more meaningful than words could ever express. Linda's mind often wandered back to the mornings they spent in the fields, mist curling around them like a delicate veil. Quang's dedication to every tiny detail of farm life amazed her, and she had learned so much from watching him. Yet it wasn't just the work itself, it was the way they shared those experiences, the way their laughter mingled with the chirping of birds and the soft rustle of leaves, creating a symphony of simple happiness. She could almost hear his voice calling out to her, urging her to notice the beauty in every small thing, to cherish the moments they had, no matter how ordinary they seemed. Those memories were bittersweet now, filling her heart with both longing and gratitude, a deep yearning for his presence, and a quiet recognition that such moments had once been hers to treasure. Even in the solitude of her present, Linda found herself speaking to him silently, as if he could hear her through the invisible threads of memory. "I miss you," she would whisper to the wind, letting the words escape without hope or expectation, yet finding some solace in the act itself. Tears would often stream down her cheeks, not only from sadness but from the intensity of a love that had been so profound, so intertwined with the very rhythm of her daily life, that its absence felt like a hollow echo in her chest. She thought of the laughter, the playful teasing, the quiet understanding that needed no words, and she clung to those recollections as one clings to a fragile flame in the dark. In these moments, Linda realized that her longing was not merely for Quang's physical presence, but for the happiness they had shared, for the sense of belonging that had made even the hardest days feel light and full. The farm, once a place of joy and laughter, now felt vast and empty without him, yet every corner held a memory, every sound evoked a trace of their time together. It was in these recollections that she found both pain and comfort, a reminder of love lost, but also proof that such love had existed, real and profound, and that it could, perhaps, one day be rekindled. And so, between tears and whispered memories, Linda clung to the hope that the happiness they had shared might not be entirely gone, that somewhere beyond the horizon, the life they once lived together could, in some form, return. Even though uncertainty shadowed every waking moment, Linda refused to let go of hope. The dreams that had once seemed like fleeting escapes now became the quiet compass guiding her through the empty spaces left by Quang's absence. Each day at the farm, as she moved through the familiar routines of feeding animals, watering crops, and tending the orchards, she imagined him there beside her, his presence lending a comforting rhythm to the work. She could see his smile in the curve of a ripe apple, hear his laughter in the rustling leaves, and feel his hands brushing against hers as she reached for a stubborn vine. In these imagined moments, Linda found strength, even if the world outside remained unchanged. Within the boundaries of her heart, Quang's love was alive and palpable, a force she could carry with her through every solitary task. She began to pour her energy into the farm as though each act of care could summon him back, a quiet ritual of devotion and remembrance. Linda worked with deliberate attention, her movements filled with the memory of shared laughter and whispered dreams. The animals, too, seemed to sense her determination, responding to her touch and voice with a gentle familiarity that made the farm feel alive once more. Even the sunlight seemed to bend differently over the fields, casting golden highlights across the rows of vegetables and the soft soil, as though nature itself was conspiring to echo the happiness she remembered. Linda would often pause in the middle of a task, gazing across the horizon where the sun met the land, imagining Quang walking toward her, and for a brief moment, the ache of absence was replaced by a thrill of anticipation, a hope that perhaps one day her dreams would cross the threshold into reality. The hope she carried was not naive or blind, it was tempered by the memories of past days spent together, the knowledge of the deep bond they had shared, and the certainty that love of such intensity could not simply vanish. Linda clung to the belief that the universe had its own way of weaving paths back together, of turning longing into reunion, and that every seed planted, every fence repaired, every moment of labor and care was an act of faith in the possibility of their shared future. She spoke to Quang in her mind, as if he could hear her thoughts, I am still here, waiting. I have not forgotten, and I will not give up." The words were a promise she made to herself, a vow that even in solitude, her love would remain steadfast and unwavering. As the days blended into weeks, Linda's hope became intertwined with her daily life, transforming ordinary routines into acts of devotion and remembrance. She laughed again at small victories in the fields, imagining Quang's playful teasing at her overexcitement, and she allowed herself to feel the warmth of imagined conversations, shared meals, and quiet moments under the old oak tree. Each night, when she returned to her bed, the dreams that once haunted her now felt like a bridge, a gentle connection between what had been and what could still be. She let herself be carried away by them, letting the memories and imagined reunions fill the empty spaces in her heart, nurturing both sorrow and joy in equal measure. Through it all, Linda understood that hope was not simply about waiting. It was about living fully in the moments she could control, about tending the life and love she had known with care, patience, and faith. Even without Quang physically by her side, she carried him in every breath, in every gesture, and in every corner of the farm. And in that unwavering hope, she found a quiet strength, a resilience born of love and memory, and a belief that one day, the dreams that had brought her both joy and pain might finally become reality. The farm was more than soil and crops. It was a testament to their love, a living promise that the happiness they had shared could endure, even through absence, and that, perhaps, the next sunrise would finally bring him back to her arms.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các bạn. Mình chính là chủ kênh Bí tỉ Linda Review. Hôm nay hôm nay thì Linda đã rơi và Quang sẽ đã trở về với cô. Tuy nhiên điều đó chỉ là một hạnh phúc mà Linda muốn. Và mình sẽ nhìn lại nó có phải là một điềm báo cho việc Quang sắp trở về với cô hay không, hay là sẽ có điều gì khác nữa xảy ra. Tất cả sẽ được